Hello, it's Sherry Truler with Red Apple Auctions, and today I'm talking about the benefit auction blog CliffsNotes of 2010. And for those of you going, CliffsNotes, what are those? Well, students use them oftentimes because they are student study guides. They more or less give a shortened version of, say, a book. So instead of reading the book that's this big, the CliffsNotes versions are that big, and they give you the themes of the book, they tell you who the characters were, they give you maybe the history of how it was written and so forth, but it's a condensed version. So the idea is that it's used as a companion when you're reading the book, although some people might use it as the replacement of the book itself. So what I've done here is for those of you saving time as a benefit auction chairperson and you need to get information quickly and up to speed quickly, I've pulled the top 10 blogs that I wrote in 2010 and the ones that most people searched out, and I have pulled them together here, so we're going to go through them. You could start your reading with these 10 and be off to a great start. Rank number 1, meaning it was the most popular 2010 blog I wrote, was Tips for Benefit Auctions with Gen X and Gen Y Guests. What to do when you've got Gen X and Gen Y guests coming. It was written on April the 5th of 2010. And I should say here too that if you're listening to this or watching the video or you're listening to the podcast, there's not really a way for me to make these links clickable. So if you want to follow through and get more information on one of these concepts, go to google.com. In the search bar, go ahead and put in Red Apple Auctions in quotation marks. And then if you follow that up with another set of quotation marks and maybe put, say, Gen X and Gen Y in there, just like I have written here, or April the 5th, 2010, that blog post should come up. So you'll be able to find it that way. It'll make it a little easier for you. So Gen X and Gen Y is what I've used for the finding of this. If you've got young people coming to your gala or you want to get them more involved, that's a great post to read. On February the 23rd, I wrote 3 phone resources every benefit auction chair should be using. Turned out to be pretty popular last year. I will share that one of those tools is a free conference call system. You need to be having regular meetings with your auction committee, and it's not always possible to do that in person. So why not use a free conference call system and get rid of the cell phone, where so often somebody's linking somebody who's dialing in somebody, and one person screws up on their cell phone and you've lost the whole conference call. So use a conference call system. They're free and they're easy to use. You can even record it for people who aren't there. No cost conference is one, free conference call is another. But anyway, read the blog post to get the whole skinny. On ranked number 3 and 3rd and 4th here respectively, I wrote those posts on January the 11th and January the 18th of 2010, part 1 and part 2. Using kids to raise cash at the benefit auction, even when they aren't attending. Certainly, if your nonprofit benefits children, or if you're a school, there's ways to incorporate children into your event and remind guests of why they're giving, even if the kids aren't there. So, here's the 2 posts that talk to that. Ranked number 5th and 6th were written March 1st and March 8th. They were part 1 and part 2 again. We had reread your silent auction descriptions to make more money. Boy, howdy, does this need some attention, because there's so many silent auctions out there, and there's a lot of problems with the descriptions, I'm not kidding you, in these items. I send in my team, who are professional sales reps, to work these events, and they're constantly finding problems with the silent auction descriptions. And the challenge is that if you have someone who's interested, but there's one piece of information missing, they won't stick around. They'll just move on and they won't bid on that item. And you could have an item that is really nice, but because you've messed up something in the description, people won't bid. So those 2 posts address some of the common mistakes that I see in regards to your silent auction descriptions. Ranked number 7th and 8th was written on February the 11th and the 16th. Isn't it interesting? I've got 3 different part 1 and part 2s that made it into the top 10 here. Part 1, tips for selling art in your benefit auction, and part 2, tips for selling art in your benefit auction. And the, art in a benefit auction is tough unless it's an art auction. So if you are thinking of putting art in your benefit auction, or you've got some art to put in your benefit auction, why don't you go ahead and read through those 2 posts to get up to speed on how you can make that better. We'll leave it at that. Rank number 9 was written on February the 2nd, and boy doesn't that look nice right now. It's so cold outside here in Washington, D.C. and I'm seeing those bright colors and thinking I want to head to the Bahamas. We've got the beach ball theme in the dead of winter. If you're looking for a little bit of color in your life right now, head on over to that post. And finally, rank number 10 was written on May 10th, 2010. Look at that, ranked 10, May 10, 2010. Using Venetian masks and an auction centerpiece. If you've got a Venetian theme and want to include masks or haven't thought about what you're going to do for your centerpieces, you can take a look there and get some tips on what this group did and why it was a standout event for them. Now, if you're looking for other ways to save time, which is why you're probably on this post right now, I strongly encourage you to go to my website and sign up for Benefit Auction Ideas. It's a twice-a-month e-zine or e-magazine or e-newsletter, whatever you want to call it. But instead of you having to search out information on the internet and wasting time, I'm sending you all this stuff with ideas that you can use immediately in your benefit auction. So it's a huge time saver. You can get that at redappleauctions.com. When you go over there, you'll sign up and you'll get a free gift. It's the auction item guide. You can give that to your procurement team. They will love that guide. And so you will get the e-zine, you get the guide. What a great start to the 2011 year. I'm Sherry Truler with Red Apple Auctions. Thanks for watching, and good luck to you in your charity auction.